You know, I'm really starting to get tired of CM Corporation's business model. They just take some old mecha show like Mosquita, make a bunch of toys that could easily have been made in 1995, slap on a price more appropriate for some Soldier toys, and call it a day. But you know what? This is going to be about negativity. This is going to be about my love for this toy. This is CM Corporation's Dark Legioss Pilotless type. And just to give you a little background on the Dark Legioss Pilotless type, this appears only in the last episode of the anime Mosquita, and it is basically a drone version of the Legioss, and it's part of the third liberation of Earth, where they decided the best way to take it back was to send an army of death robots, i.e. this guy. And just to start off, this toy is the third version of the Legioss design put up by CMs. The first one being the standard Legioss, which came in 3 flavors, red, blue, and green. The second being the Dark Legioss normal type. And as you can see, the drone type has several differences to the other two. For starters, the forefeet are completely different. Just kind of this wide, more duck-looking piece here. The shoulder is completely different on the Pilotless type. The whole upper body is also totally different too. You have these cut-off intakes here. You have this whole different upper shoulder area here. You have new shoulder blocks right here. And when we get to fighter mode, I'll show you the differences there as well. Now, these toys as a whole are, well, they're very good toys, I'm going to give you that. They definitely feel like you could actually give this to a kid and he could play with it and you wouldn't worry about anything breaking off. Well, save for these little fins here on this guy. But I'm just going to go ahead and remove the other two, and we're going to get into the highlights of the drone type. And as you can see, it's kind of a very plasticky toy. There's very little die cast to it. And one thing they did with it in terms of articulation is a lot of times with older designs from the 80s, they couldn't figure out which way they wanted the elbows to bend. Sometimes they wanted to bend like a person with their hand, you know, your hand just pointing with your thumb straight up to the sky, with the back of your arm just facing outward, and that's what this is for. But on this toy they also decided to split the difference and give you another elbow joint so you can bend it sort of that classical robot style where the back of the arm is also facing downward, although this joint is not as dynamic as the main joint here. And also as part of the transformation you have these die-cast struts here that support the arms. And these can also rotate too, although it's kind of tight on my example. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling to do this here. One thing that is nice, it does have a waist joint and there's really nothing to get in the way of it. So you can give a nice little pose here. And in defiance for tradition, the Dark Legioss Pilotless type has a head that can not only look up and down, but can also move side to side a little bit. Unlike the other two releases where their head is basically fixed in place. Also, it features ratcheted joints in the upper thigh, in the knees. There's a couple of joints here in the feet, so you can give it some kind of interesting running pose or what have you. I haven't really found a good stand that I can actually give some nice flying poses with it though. That's unfortunate. And you see, it actually balances pretty well. You know, it's not going to topple over in any way. And as far as accessories go, the Dark Legioss Pilotless type only comes with sort of one notable accessory, and that's its synchrotron cannon. And it can actually hold the gun with its normal hands, which these claws are articulated. But what they give you is there's a separate claw piece that just kind of plugs in the back here. It's actually really tough to take it out again because it's attached by these small square pegs, and there's just a pair of indents on the interior of the gun, and then you just kind of have to separate these slightly, line up the pegs, and then it snaps in. And what you do is just remove the hand. It's on a ball joint like that. Plug this one in. There we go. And now your Dark Legioss is fully armed, like a good little killbot. Something like that. Now, there actually, some people will notice that there's one omission to the Dark Legioss is that it does not have the shoulder missile launchers as was shown in the line art. This is not actually shown in the TV show because the Dark Legioss has maybe a minute of screen time. I'm being generous here. So if you're wondering why this thing is kind of so special and rare, it's because it's a variant that had no screen time. And they only made 100 of these toys. So there's 799 other examples of this toy out there. And if I can just spin it around for a bit, there's one interesting change is that this is normally the area where the head stores in fighter mode, and they replaced it with the accurate double verniers here. Another thing I could point out is on the nose cone, you have a new canopy cover, which is just a solid black piece with a small sparkly gold sensor eye on it. And also the leading edge root extensions, which are this part of the airplane, are more kind of squared off look, and they don't collapse like on the normal Legioss design. So in the next part of this video, after we come back from a black screen with white text, I'm going to show you the transformation to Armo-Diver mode. Okay, so because this thing turns into an airplane, obviously it has to have a halfway mode, and in Moss Media this is called Armo-Diver mode. So not gear walk, it hurts. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to sort of ratchet the legs in more of a digigrade position. Put it all down like this, and we are going to extend these flaps here, these part of the wings. And we're just going to pull this whole section forward and outwards. And we're going to flip down this part of the chest here. Just click up the individual parts of the torso. You can see we're pretty much all the way there. And right here we have this die-cast double hinge here. Now, when I bought my Dark Legioss and also on this Pilotless type, this hinge was really, really tight. Like, they had just put it on in the factory. Alright, so you can see all we just did here is we just line up a couple of pegs on the edge of the leading edge root extensions with some holes on the top part of the intakes here, and you just saw the whole thing snaps in. And then we have to bring up this door at the back, put this door down over it, just kind of line these up here, and here we go, Armo-Diver mode. Now, my personal opinion about Armo-Diver mode is it's kind of a poor man's gear walk, because on the one hand it does look kind of cool. Oh, I forgot one thing. You just kind of rotate the head around, and there we go. Anyway, so Armo-Diver mode, poor man's gear walk. It looks alright from the front, I think. I mean, that's kind of where it looks aggressive, like a good airplane with arms and legs should look. Well, as soon as you look at the side, it's like, this is just the robot bending over. And there's nothing really at the end to make it look interesting either. And also the wings are still tucked away, so it doesn't look that much like an airplane. And yeah, you can see it is trying to fall forward a little bit, but that's kind of the only problem with this mode, is it is a little front heavy, but you can see it's not really going to tip forward too much. So yeah, this is Armo-Diver mode, not terribly exciting on its own. Alright, well, we're going to go to Armo-Fighter mode next. Alright, it's time to go all the way. We're going to transform this guy into Armo-Fighter mode. But first, something I forgot about. The Legioss, its most notable feature is that it's covered in missiles, and this toy does have tiny little panels that pop up on the arms, on the legs, and there's just tiny missiles on the inside which are not terribly exciting on their own because they're just little red dots. And I'm not really sure if that's a problem with the toy or just kind of a problem with the design, because, let's face it, when those missiles aren't firing, all they look like are little red dots on the robot. So anyway, what we're going to start off with, we're going to collapse the arms. We're just going to take the hand, flip it around, put it in like this, put down this panel on here, bring up the tail fins. I'm just going to push in the whole forearm. Okay, Do the same thing on the other side, just bolt the panel, rotate the hand around, bring the tail fin up, and put this, collapse it down. There we go. Now we're just going to bring up this section and rotate it back. One thing I've noticed on this particular Legioss compared to the other two is that sometimes this corner here of the shoulder kind of gets stuck against the top part of the intake, so you're going to have to be careful with that. I'm just going to do the same thing here. It happens more on this side for some reason. There we go. I have no problems this time. So yeah, also there's a problem just trying to get these hands all tucked away and make sure the whole thing collapses the right way. It's very annoying. I'm just going to bring up the wings. And now it's time for the difficult part, which is the legs. And I'm actually going to push the landing gear out, because you can so just push on the back, just go right through here and get out the die-cast landing gear. And I'm just going to do it again, push through the back. We're going to pull down this little panel on the back of the leg here. Kind of rotate this whole thing up, and then you can see there's kind of a bow-shaped part to the leg, and the way they got around having to design a collapsing leg structure was just to make it sort of fold away rather than just straight off retract. So, and we're just gonna do this on both legs. I would say there's no like guiding pins to tell you where you're supposed to stop these parts on either the fins or the legs or anything like that. So we're just kind of guessing that everything is in the proper position. And we're also just going to bring out the front landing gear. Now, assuming I did this right, this is actually going to sit on the ground on this landing gear. But as you can see, there's already going to be a problem. You'll look at that midsection there, and as I put it down, it's a couple of millimeters off the ground there with the nose wheel, because it's just resting on this bottom section here. And that's very unfortunate. Yeah, I think they would try to put a better joint on here, maybe get a little extension just to make sure that it can touch the ground with landing gear, but so now it actually can't roll. The other ones have no problem rolling at all. They have little die-cast wheels that spin freely. And this is Armo-Fighter mode. Not looking terribly sleek or even that compact. Let's just say they were a little generous when it comes down to the anime show and how nice it was going to look. And the one thing that we can do with this mode is we can just top it off by removing the magazine on the synchrotron cannon. Just have like little batteries on the inside. It looks pretty cool on the inside of the clip there. And we're just going to take these two pegs that are on the top part of the synchrotron, and there's just a couple of holes between the shoulders. Just slot, get that in there, and get this one in here. Damn, that's not lining up at all. Come on. Oh well, that's close enough. As you can see, quick and dirty fighter mode. It looks very much like something from the mid-90s as far as execution goes. And, you know, I did pay a lot of money for this toy, I'll admit that. I basically paid full price for it. But I really do like the drone design. I like the Legioss, I like the drone, I like the Dark Legioss. And, you know, with all the changes they made to it, it's kind of weird that they decided just to make 800 of these things. You know, you think they try to get a little bit of mass market appeal. I mean, it's a cool design, even without the shoulder missile launchers, which look kind of cool, but again, they were a little too ambitious, and they didn't really plan out how they were supposed to fit the missile launchers and the arm mechanism in here. But other than that, if you're a diehard like me, and you really want to get the Legioss drone type, I'd say go for it. And if, you know, you already own a bunch of the other ones, might as well just get one more. Alright, well, this is Andrew, signing off saying, nothing's really going to bother me, because I got my drone buddy. Good drone.